That means you.
Alrighty, welcome everyone. Welcome to the 2015, it's 2014 actually. CSU Debate. We have our candidates here for CSU President and Executive Vice President, so we will go ahead and get started here. I'll have our Election Commissioner, John Greenwood, kind of give an explanation for tonight.
Okay, so the way we're going to format this is we're going to break the night up into two parts. The first half of the debate will be dedicated to our candidates who are running for the position of Executive Vice President. We do that, and then the second half will obviously be dedicated to those who are running for President. The reason that we are doing that is to remind you all that although the two groups we have up here are running together, they are not necessarily elected together, so you can vote for the candidates all independently. Once we start off with our EVP candidates, they will have an opportunity to give a 2-minute stump speech to talk about their platform, a little bit about themselves, just to give you a little bit of information about who they are and exactly what they would do if elected to this term at CSU. Once they're done with their 2-minute speech, they will have an opportunity to answer questions. The questions that we will be presenting them with will be both a combination of questions we take from you, the audience, and the questions that we have. Once a question has been asked of them, they will have 1 minute to respond to that question. And that format will be the exact same once we switch over to our candidates who are running for president. They'll have 2 minutes to give a little bit of a stump speech, and then we'll ask questions from both the audience and prepared questions that we have with a minute to respond each. When the questions that we have are done for both of them, they will have a minute to kind of talk to you guys about anything that they forgot to say, just sort of do a quick wrap up. And that's the same for both candidates as well. So with that, anything else like that?
All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. Just to quickly introduce our Executive Vice President candidates, we have Ms. Meg Maynard. Mr. Zach Gibbs for Executive Vice President. So, like I said, we'll go ahead and get started with we'll allow the candidates to both briefly introduce themselves. They'll have 2 minutes, and then we'll go ahead and get started with questions. So we'll go ahead and start.
And be thinking right now about questions that you'd like to ask.
All right, we'll go ahead with Meg.
Hi everyone, I'm Meg Maynard. I'm a sophomore, originally from Omaha. And when I was in high school, I was super involved. So in coming to college, I did not hesitate to do the same. I started off at Creighton in the freshman leadership program, and I'm continuing on that journey now as a mentor. Through that, I learned a lot about responsibility, organization, and being a team player. And then around this time last year, I applied to be a programming intern for the Lehman Center for Women. And so I've been doing that for about a year, and through that, I've learned a lot about collaboration and networking, as well as programming. And then this year, I am a student representative on the Committee on the Status of Women, which is made up of faculty, staff, and students, and they advocate for gender equality across the different colleges on campus. Through that, I've learned a lot about what's going on campus, as well as in the greater Omaha area. So I decided to run for CSU Executive Vice President because I believe in all of you, our futures, and the wonderful Creighton University. I believe that anyone who has a voice and wants to be heard should be. And so I'm really advocating for the voices of the students rather than the voice of the students. I really think it's important to bring different perspectives and opinions to the board. And so I would need everyone's help with that. And then I also am running on sustainability. If we can work to create a better campus, then we can create a ripple effect and create a better world, which is exactly what Creighton students are already awesome at doing. So thank you guys.
All right, and we'll hear from Mr. Zach Pierce.
Hi guys, my name is Zach Pierce. I'm a sophomore in agriculture business. I'm a finance and econ major, and I'm from San Diego, California. So in high school, I was involved a lot with my high school class and the student body with that. When I came to Creighton, I had a job opportunity in university relations. So I've done a lot with university and alumni relations, got involved with a lot of great programs behind the scenes, like Alumni Homecoming Weekend and Scholarship Luncheon we do at the end of the year. So through that, I learned a lot of organizational skills and setting and meeting deadlines. And those are the two things I'm very passionate about, university and alumni relations on campus. I'm sure most of you hopefully have seen what we're running on so far on campus on the posters, and those two things are unity, awareness, and transparency. we want CSU to be known as an open organization where everyone can go to with their opinions, with their issues that they have on campus. And we want everyone to be aware of what is happening on campus, all the different organizations. So we want to establish a good relationship with everyone on campus, all these different organizations. So any issue that people have can immediately be sorted out and handled appropriately, so we can have a more unified and better campus in general. Thanks, guys.
All right. Now that we've heard from our candidates, we'll go ahead and get started. We have some prepared questions, as we mentioned. We'll go ahead and get started with one of those, and then we'll open it up for audience questions. So we will begin, and we'll start with Zach. We'll alternate between candidates. So the question is, how will you work as an advocate for the student body in meetings with senior administrators like Father Lehman and Dr. O'Connor? And you'll have 1 minute.
I think it's important to establish a good relationship with the upper level administrators and to establish a good relationship with the students. So right off the bat, we want to do that through the CSU Board of Representatives. We want them to meet with exactly who they are representing so we can know their issues right off the bat. Then through talks and meetings that we can have with that upper level administration, we don't have just like a general idea of what an issue is on campus. We know that we have specific things, issues that we've heard from the students through the meetings that they've had with their specific representatives. So we can explicitly relay that to upper level administration and get that taken care of, so we don't have just general complaints that people have with specific things that they come to us and talk about.
Okay, so I just think that starting that constant communication is key to building a strong relationship. If any of you guys have friends, which I hope you all do, or have been in a relationship, then you know that it doesn't work unless you're communicating. And I also think that just showing giving a lot of effort and passion also is key.
Okay.
All right, now does anyone in the audience have a question that they would like to ask?
So, what is your current understanding of the position and the roles that it takes out on a daily basis? And what are your strengths that help you fulfill that and maybe even evolve the position a little bit more?
Okay, so my understanding is there's a set amount of hours per week that you have to put in. I've heard that you kind of exceed that, and so I think that part of that is just having good time management and organization, which I believe that I have acquired through other leadership roles throughout my life. And I also see the position as being an advocate for the students and with the students, and I think that's really important, being with the students and not just for the students.
I believe that in the position, you have to be the voice of the students, and you have to be a voice with the students to the upper level administration so you can get these things done. And running, I really want to enact an open door policy within CSU. Obviously, there is right now at the office hours, but I don't think that is taken advantage of enough with all the students on Creighton's campus. We want kids to know from day one they can come to us with any issues that they have, and they're free to walk into the student activities office and talk to about whatever it is they want to get done or have an issue that they have on the campus. So I really want to take advantage of those office hours. And I'm really a personal person. I just love talking about whatever is on your mind. So whether it's an issue or not on campus, we just want people to know that they can come to us and just talk about any issue that they have on campus, talk about what events and different organizations that they're involved with, so we can work harder to make that more prevalent on Creighton's campus.
All right, what other questions? Any other questions?
Okay, so you guys kind of both addressed how you want to be the voice of the students. So I kind of see that there's kind of this disconnect between the students and the representatives who are supposed to be representing them. So there's that disconnect between the representatives and the constituents. How exactly would you address that?
One of the big things that we're running on is going to be having the CSU board representatives take a step back from CSU and meet with those they are representing. So each representative is technically assigned 150 students. You have an explicit list of 150 students that that person is responsible for, and that representative is an advocate for. So, and I know that next semester there's going to be a redistribution of members, and that there's supposed to be every 3 years. So we'll go along with that as well. But we want to set up a meeting either once a semester, twice a semester, where you're free to go and just have like a dinner or something with who it is your representative is, so you can talk about those issues specifically. So instead of just feeling you have no one to go to talk to and that your representatives are these like far off people you have no contact with, we want to establish that right off the bat that you have a contact and you have a specific representative who is representing your voice and opinion within CSU.
Okay, I've also noticed that issue, and I've thought about this time and time again. And I really think that we need to utilize the board of representatives through the different colleges. And how we go about that, I think we need to make things super easy for all of you guys to be in contact with them. And I'm not exactly sure how to go about that, whether that's going to be like creating like a comment box app, because I found that like people aren't really going to attend like a breakfast with your representatives unless it's like easy for them to get to, like if it's outside of their door, for example. Like people just don't go to things because that's not where their heart is. And then like if we make it easy for people to voice their opinions through like social media or something or an app, then I feel like you get a lot more input, I guess. So thanks, great question.
All right, the next question. What role do students have in university governance?
I think this goes back to advocating for and with the students. I can't emphasize that enough. Like I'm a student, even if I'm elected as executive vice president, I'm still a student. I'm one of you guys. I'm just in a leadership role, and I don't think that means that I'm like on my high horse right now. I believe that I'm very easy to talk to, and so honestly, I think that's just a huge thing. Talk with me and.
What I have been running on, what Caitlin has been running on, I'm sure you guys have heard, is that we want CSU to be an organization that's by the students and for the students. So what Meg was kind of alluding to, I don't feel that we have any more of a say in this government just because it's just if we were to be elected as president or executive vice president, whatever it is, we don't have more of a voice. Every person can have an equal voice within CSU. If you just come, your voice will be heard and will be seriously accounted for. CSU just needs to be used as that tool to be able to relay that to the upper level administration. But when it comes to what the issues are on campus and what you feel needs to be done, I feel that we all do have an equal say regardless of title.
All right, another audience question.
What do you guys see as the weaknesses of the CSU program board, and how would you work to combat those?
Personally, I feel as though program board is the most known part of CSU. Everyone sees all the events that they're going to each semester. Really, every week there's always something going on. You know that it's program board. They're all really actually great and fun events. So I think that program board is actually running very well as it is. I do personally think that they can maybe have more input from students, like what exactly, even when it just comes to like fall blues or spring fling, like who do you guys want to see? Like give us suggestions, because personally I don't feel like I've been like asked or like seen a meeting where I can really say, hey, this might be a kind of a fun program. But I think that there's more open communication saying, hey, if you guys have an idea, please come to us with that. Otherwise, I think that program board has been running really well and has very, very good events.
Having served on program board straight team for a semester, one of the things that I found really frustrating with putting on events was getting people to attend the events. And so I guess I would just kind of like to see program board working on emphasizing more like the events that they're putting on. I know like posters are up and everything, but one thing that Molly and I have learned is it's a lot more effective to like go in and actually campaign. Like it's one thing for people to see a poster on a wall, but if you actually go and promote your event in front of people, that's a lot different, and that actually hits people a lot more, whether that's going and talking to organizations or incorporating that through WAC. I think either of those are awesome options.
All right, another prepared question we have here. How will you act as an advocate for graduate and professional students?
Okay, so I think we definitely have to emphasize that a lot more and actually get those relationships started. And I think a way to get the graduate students and professional students incorporated with the undergraduate students is having panels of some sort to just kind of see like the different things that are going on around campus, because a lot of the times like we have no idea what's going on in the medical school or the dental school, because people just like don't talk about it, and we're not like given the opportunity to talk about it. So I guess just starting things like that, the communication among the students.
I feel that continues on with what I was saying about the board representatives, and also looking at the cabinet and those who are representing the professional schools and graduate schools, because at the end of the day, we are all great students. So we want to have those representatives take a step back, figure out like what's going on within their different respective schools, and talk with each other, even with the graduates, talking to the undergraduates, and like setting up programs that they have that encompass all students, so they're not limited at these specific things. So we're more aware of what's happening within their schools, because maybe like there aren't too many events where undergrads can relate to the graduate schools, but I feel like we can set up programs each semester where the graduate schools, the graduate students are coming into contact with the undergraduates, so they can work more together and just be the graduates helping out the undergraduates. Because at the end of the day, like I said, we're all great students.
All right.
Hi, yeah, a lot of the questions thus far have focused on communication and transparency. And as a senior, I think that's kind of been a big push every year since I've been here with CSU. And I think over the last 2 or 3 years, actually, a lot of progress has been made. And I think that you can always have more progress in that area. But at some point, you can only kind of lead the horse to water, but you can't make them drink. And so a lot of students, I think, elect members to CSU, expecting them to be the ones that are kind of the point on this issue. So if both of you just kind of want to list the policy at Creighton, not within CSU, the policy at this university that you'd most like to advocate for change.
When it comes to that representative and transparency within just like the Creighton in general, I do agree, like people usually do run on this, and it has like definitely made steps. I think the biggest thing that we can do is from day one in Welcome Week. I was not in Welcome Week like exposed to what CSU was. So I think if we have whoever it is from CSU coming and talking to students, hey, this is exactly what CSU, this is what you can do, this is what you can do. Come talk to us and have your voice heard, because I think when Welcome Week starts the first day that you walk on the campus, there isn't that open communication already established. So I think that needs to be established from day one.
I'd say from aside all of the communication aspect of what CSU is, I really want to push towards becoming a more sustainable campus, because like Molly has said before in her spiel to the organizations, if any of you guys have heard us before, is the whole state of California banned plastic. So I think that our campus can do that. And that's going to be a process, but it's definitely something that I really am passionate about and want to work towards.
Okay, next question. How will Creighton's mission influence your term if you are elected?
I think the Jesuit values are really important to our campus, and they're kind of overlooked sometimes because we don't always get that opportunity to interact with the Jesuits unless you kind of come in with that connection or form that connection on your own. And it's kind of difficult to do that during Welcome Week at the Jesuit barbecue that they have. I think that's what it's called. So I guess just like kind of implementing that a little bit more, just like what an asset the Jesuits are to our campus. I think obviously that's really important. We're a Jesuit campus. We pride ourselves on that, and I think we really just need to kind of extend that even more and expand our awareness on what the Jesuits actually do for us.
I too gonna like preach the Jesuit values that they're reading on campus, because you hear in every single classroom teachers allude to them, and they are, I think, involved in various aspects of our life here at Creighton. And the one I think really that I relate to most with, especially in this campaign, is Men and Women Forward and Others. As cliche as that sound, I do think that we are all great students and deserve to have the same equal voice in everything that it is we do, deserve to be represented equally in everything that we do. So I think that we don't need to necessarily put like a Jesuit label on every single last thing that we do, but understanding why it is we're doing anything, like stemming from the Jesuit values, I think is important.
All right, another audience question.
What do you think should be the university's top priority over the next 10 years?
That is a phenomenal question. I think expanding, because if you look at our numbers last year, we had, I don't know the exact number, but like pretty sure it's like thousands of more applicants than we did this year. So I think with just expanding the campus in general, I know there's always been talks about building a dental school, building a new dorm for freshmen. So I think if we focus on that, so we can establish ourselves just each year, year by year, maybe just as a better school and get more students. So I think that the biggest thing would be expanding and being able to take in bigger classes at a time.
I'd say expanding our name throughout the community in Omaha. We've kind of gotten a bigger name. I don't know if you guys know this, because we joined the Big East and because of the Creighton Allegiant merge and everything. But I really think that since one of the Jesuit values is like priding ourselves on service, we really should do that a lot more throughout the community. So it's great that we have different things like bringing in the homeless to like give them healthcare and stuff. But that's like one day out of the entire year. And so I think if we like turn those into bigger things, that could be really great for us, and it would also get us back to our Jesuit roots and service.
Another question.
Okay, as a campus that is more dominated by women than men, I do feel women have been underrepresented in student government in my 3 years here, and I would like to know, like, kind of how you plan to address that.
How I want to address that? Well, that is one of the reasons why I decided to run for CSU, because I've noticed the same thing. And so, in coming to Creighton, one of the ways that I like really tried to advocate for that is through the Legal Center for Women, as well as now like the Committee on the Status of Women. Honestly, like education for girls in general is one of my passions. Malala is one of my role models. She's awesome. Nobel Peace Prize winner this year. I don't know if you guys know. But so yeah, honestly, just like I want to continue that work and bring it on like a larger scale through CSU.
That obviously I think is something that people do notice. And if elected, I'm going to say literally exactly what Beck just said, because those were two things that we did. We want to work closely with those organizations, so the Legal Center for Women and the Committee for Women's Status. We want to work closely with them so we can ensure like those possibilities and to ensure that women are being fully represented on this campus, because we don't want there to be in any way a discrepancy. And I don't feel that there is a discrepancy there. Personally, I feel that year after year, I mean, personally, I love that gender. Like, that's not in any way, shape, or form any decision I make a factor. So I think it just comes down to who is a better candidate in each, whatever the situation will be. But if elected, I would aim to work closely with those organizations to ensure that our missions are being pushed forward on Creighton's campus.
Zach, this was mainly geared towards you just because of the previous question. You had said that your goal for Creighton in the next 10 years was expanding our class sizes. But at what point do you worry that that's going to affect the level of academics at Creighton? We have the ratio of students to faculty right now, and we have a lot of faculty attention with very little TAs. So do you worry that that would hinder our academic success?
I completely agree with what you're saying, because honestly, the class sizes were a big reason why I didn't choose Creighton coming in. Like, this is what they have to say: small class sizes and no TAs. Personally, I do not have experience in class sizing or the faculty and hiring and how that like works as you do an expanded campus. But if that were to be something that happened while I was still here and still had a say in it, I would try to push the administrators to hire on more faculty and maintain a cap on class sizes for specific courses so we can still have that one-on-one contact. So I think as you expand, you'll start to expand factually and realize that the students are the most important and establish and keep that cap on what class size will be.
Yeah, so I guess class sizes, I don't think is really an issue on campus. We have been expanding, and I think that housing was kind of becoming an issue last year, trying to figure out where to put everyone. So I guess I don't see that that's an issue, so I don't know what I'm talking right now.
Okay, we'll go ahead and do one more question from the audience, and then we'll allow both candidates to give a 1-minute kind of wrap up.
Hi, I was going into a leadership position within the Great Student Union. What do you see as your biggest weakness as a leader, and how do you plan to combat that weakness, turning that into a positive if you were to be elected?
Okay, so I have a problem with like taking on too much. Like I think I'm kind of over-involved sometimes, and that can be an issue because you kind of lose sight of like why you're involved in the things you're involved in. And so I guess how I want to overcome that is I honestly think that Molly and I really balance each other out really well. And so she can kind of like pull the reins back when I'm like getting all hyped up about something. And also it is like something I'm trying to work on. And so, yeah. Great question, thanks.
When it comes to things, especially that I'm passionate about, I tend to be very outspoken, very opinionated person, and want people to know what exactly it is I'm thinking. I think some people might take that as like abrasive or aggressive in some situations, but really I'm just so outspoken so I can ensure that we're like seeing all sides of an issue, because especially if it is something that I'm passionate about, I want to make sure that all sides are being seen from it and that the issue is hammered out fully. So I think I am a very outspoken person, which I think in some aspects of it negatively affect me, but I think it's more of like a positive thing. It can be like used as a positive thing, especially when it comes to issues that we face in CSU.
Okay, at this point, we'll have give each of the candidates 1 minute to kind of give a concluding remarks.
Well, thank you guys all so much for coming. Meg, thank you. So basically what we're running on is really establishing a good relationship, a good rapport with all organizations on campus. If there's these issues that we see that people are coming from, just as Meg mentioned with like the status of women or with even sustainability, there's so many organizations on campus that encompass those things. When we think about sustainability, there's a great sustainability council, which only meets once a month, and I feel it really goes unnoticed in the efforts that they make to try to make this a more sustainable campus, and things that they've done with Sodexo to try to eliminate and try to be more of a more green company and become a more green campus. So I think instead of just trying to handle those issues just as CSU individually head on, I want to establish a good relationship with those organizations and work closely with them so we know that their missions are being pushed fully and that they're doing the most potential that they have and can possibly do on this campus. So thank you guys again for coming, and I hope to work with you guys sometime in the future.
So as you all are hitting the polls tomorrow from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., I hope you guys just keep in mind that, honestly, I think all of the candidates here have great intentions for CSU, and either way, CSU is going to be that change that people want to see. And so I hope you guys just keep that in mind, specifically with the experience that I've shared with you all this evening, and just vote, honestly, just vote.
All right, let's give our candidates another round of applause. Okay, at this point, we will now introduce our candidates for CSU president, and Greenie and I will switch.
All right. So over here we have Molly Krebs, and over here we have Cayman Nixon. So like we just did before, we're going to have each of our candidates start off with a 2-minute speech to just give a little bit of an introduction. So we'll have Molly go first.
How's everybody doing? Wonderful. My name is Molly Ann Krebs. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I'm medical anthropology and health administration. Medical anthropology and health administration and policy double major here at Creighton University. So I told a story, but I love telling this story. Around this time last year, I was very unhappy at Creighton. In fact, I was going to transfer out of Creighton. So I went to my honors professor in desperation. I said, what do I do? I'm so frustrated here. He said, well, I'm going to ask you one question. What are you good at? I said, pipe bucket. Well, sir, I get shit done. But that being said, he said, I think you should stay. You make great waves here. You're a strong person. So second semester came rolling around. I helped start up HAVEN, which is the Feminist Society here on campus. I helped start up UDI, which is the New Living Learning Community that will be in effect next year. And then I had Be Fabulous, Scott Shutdown, where I got to know all the organizations on campus and really show off what they have to do here. So those are just 3 examples. In addition, I am a desk worker at Swanson. I'm the VP of Programming at CAPSA, and I'm the VP of the Medical Anthropology and Sociology Society. Ever since that conversation with my honors professor, I've been committed to empowering the individual here on this campus. And that is what I'm trying to do right now.
Hey guys, my name is Kevin Mason. I want to be your next CSU president. I'd like to thank you all you guys for coming out here today. So I just want to hop right into this little speech. Alright, so essentially, our campaign has been running on transparency, awareness, and unity. I really want to make sure that the focus is on unifying Creighton's campus as a whole and making sure that every student's voice is heard throughout the campus. Essentially, we really want to just make sure that when you guys have a complaint or concern about something that's going on, not only within CSU, but just on Creighton's campus, that we are the people to come to talk to, and that we are the people who can get the work done. Well, I forgot. I didn't really start with my introduction, but I'm a sophomore, highly college business student from Sacramento, California. So I'm kind of a long way to get to Creighton, but I love this school. I love everything about it. I'm very passionate about this school. I feel like if I was elected president, you guys would see changes on campus, but not too crazy, nothing that needs to be, nothing too crazy that would cause any big ripples in the school, but I feel that there are just slight changes to CSU that need to be made that make Creighton a much better place.
Thank you guys. All right, we're actually going to start off with the same question we started with last time. So how will you work as an advocate for the student body when you have meetings with senior leadership, including both Father Landon and Dr. O'Connor? And we'll start with Mom.
So when planning Scott Shutdown, I had a lot of responsibility, such as planning a brand new event that no one's ever heard of and coordinating hundreds of people around campus. I actually had to talk with administration. That includes administration and SAO. That includes Father Landon. A different example includes sexual assault policies on campus. That's a big thing I'm passionate about here. I've worked with Allison Taylor and Tanya Weingard, and I've spoken to Father Landon about the issues of sexual assault policies here. I have a great reputation with them, really professional, and I have a rapport with that administration.
As being the higher-level president this year within IHG, I've become Father Landon's personal greeter at his events for Play Holt and Hyder Hall. I was approached about this position a few weeks ago, just asking if I would greet people whenever they're coming to an event at Father Landon's apartment because he lives in the top Hyder. So I've had a good relationship with him. I've met with him multiple times. And I also have a good relationship within IHG, which is Intervention Assault Government, so many of them. And we do a lot of work with the administration on campus. So I feel that I can successfully relay that information between the students and the administration. I'm very excited to.
We'll do an audience question.
What sets you apart from your opponent?
I'm very charismatic and enthusiastic person when it comes to Creighton University. I love this place and it's everything that goes on here. I feel that CSU should be fostering a relationship between the students and the administration, and I'm supposed to be the bridge for that relationship. I feel that the current CSU administration is doing that well, but I feel that I could bring some new ideas to that. One thing we're really thinking about is doing like a weekly poll of what's going on within the CSU meeting, so we get student feedback, so the students know like that their voices are being heard by the great student meeting.
I agree that Cayman has much more charisma than I do. That's a fact. However, I do feel that I do have much more experience with all the organizations that I've been with. I do have rapport with the administration, and I do have that drive and passion for the issues that I'm presenting.
Is there another audience question?
How would you go about bringing diversity to CSU?
Well, I'm a woman, so that's one. However, like it's been addressed before, who's the best person for this job? I truly believe that I am the best person for this job. It just so happens that I'm a woman as well. It'd also be working with all the different multicultural organizations on campus and really promoting their events and their diversity and their passions on this campus.
Well, I would also really like, as Mara said, I would also really like to work with all the different diverse groups on campus and have a good relationship with the Office of Multicultural Affairs to make sure that their views are being represented. And I also feel that, being a diverse person, whether it's in regards to race or gender or anything, doesn't really have an effect in why you should be voting. I feel like you should be voting for the best candidate for the position and not just for a specific, just to do something crazy different or just something different just for the fact that it's.
All right, as is true with any leadership position, you will receive a lot of feedback, both positive and negative. How will you deal with the negative feedback?
I feel like in a public position like the president of CSU, you have to expect the negative feedback. And I have a pretty tough exterior. Oh, okay, not the tough exterior part, more tough interior. Words will not really affect me if someone's just starting out CSU is doing a bad job or whatever, because people are always going to have their opinions. So you're always going to do the naysayers and the negative people. But I feel that you just have to be able to keep your head up, keep positive energy, which is something I'm great at. So just always moving forward with the positivity, regardless of what other people say.
I would say one of my downfalls is that I do take things quite personally. However, in such a high position, I do realize that there is going to be that negative feedback. How to work with that is that I'm confident, I'm a strong, leader on this campus. I believe that I can make that change and be that voice for that student, and that's what will be driving me. It's not going to be the negative feedback that's holding me back. It's going to be the positive things that are pushing me forward instead.
Excuse me.
So two things that have been talked about are working with different organizations and unity, but those are good statements, but quite broad statements. So what exactly are you going to do to work with XYZ organization or make students more unified?
So through Sketch Shutdown, my mission was to understand every organization's mission and goals and purpose, why they're here on this campus. Whether that was through email or through person, talking to those people about their passions outside the classroom or incorporating extracurricular activities into their academic passions. In terms of actually incorporating them to CSU, I know 100 missions of these organizations on campus, and really keep that in mind whenever I make a decision, or I'm in a meeting with somebody, or I'm with the board of reps, or with the rest of the executives.
If I were to be elected, I would want a luncheon or some kind of event with the leaders or the people who would be communicating from each of these organizations, so they know that like I or Zach or whoever the main communication point would be, whenever they have a big event or something, so we can really make sure that their events are being blown out of the day. Like I was talking with some organizations as we were campaigning, and they're saying they have like some event, but it doesn't really ever get any traction. And so I want to make sure they know they come talk to us and they're like, this is your big event of the year. We really want to make this the event. Want everyone to go to it, so we make sure that we're communicating their stuff to the students, and we make sure we do that just having really good communication between us and organizations.
Okay, we'll do another audience question. So we have like 7,000 total students, 4,000 undergrad, approximately 2,000 have to live on campus, and yet tonight there are about 60 people here. Would you say that not caring is like a big problem on campus? And if so, how would you combat that?
I feel that is a legitimate concern since there are just so few people who actually showed up to this debate. However, I feel like we could be making events like this bigger. Like I personally did not see any advertisement for this until probably about 2 or 3 days ago, when this is like the CSU election. This is something that people really should care about, and that's something we want to do. We want to promote CSU as like a fun organization that people really want to be involved in. I realize that on the board of representatives, sometimes it's hard to even fill those positions. Like there's like 16 positions for the College of Arts and Sciences, and I think there are about 14 people running when there's all these students in that school who should be really interested in CSU. So we really want to make sure that CSU is the organization that people are interested in and want to enjoy and want to be a part of.
From my experience here at Creighton, I realized that you can't make people passionate about something. However, you can show your passion to everybody. I've learned that through UDI, I've learned that through Haven. Our Haven events sometimes get 5, sometimes 0 people attending, but it's with those people who are in your organization that you do show that passion. But I love hundreds of people here tonight, sure, but right here, right now, these 4 candidates are showing their passion here, and that's what matters most.
All right, one thing that has been big recently is the university strategic plan. So what are your thoughts on the university strategic plan and specifically the communication of that to the student body?
I'm not well versed in the strategic plan. However, the policies that I have read at Creighton, yes, they're online, and yes, it's in full legislature text. However, it's not communicated to a college student. So for example, sexual assault policies, which I am aware of, they're posted online. All the definitions and the process is posted online. However, it is very poorly communicated to the students that it affects. So I feel that if this new Peaches legislature was communicated effectively and appropriately to the audience that it affects, it'll be better receptive.
I'm on the same page, Molly. I'm also not very versed in the strategic plan for Creighton. However, I do also agree that the communication between the administration on matters like that is not very clear. Which is one of our ideas would be to redo CU Involved. I'm sure most of you guys have kind of used it, but it's just like basically a central hub for every activity and every organization on Creighton's campus. And it's just a very flawed system. So one of the things we want to do is really get that revamped, redone, to make sure that each student knows that that's the place they can go to get all their information about anything that's going on campus or anything that's going on with the administration. And we want to see that in the form of an app, which we could roll out with like Group Me and Guidebook during Welcome Week. So that'd be something that'd be a lot of fun and just be a big project that we work on for really like.
Okay, audience question.
Hi, okay, so I know that in the past couple of years, CSU has had to respond to some pretty controversial topics that have come up on campus, and as a student and I, along with other students, kind of look to CSU to be the student voice. How comfortable are you taking a stance on controversial topics, even when that stance is difficult, and how do you think that personally you could add to like positive influence on those controversies?
I feel like the stance needs to be taken, and the students address that to us, and so it's like, as an overall student body, this is what they really feel, and this is how they want their voice to be heard. That as the CSU president, I have the obligation to tell that to the administration to take a stance on that, because if that's what the students want, that's who I'm supposed to be representing. So I want to make sure that their voices are being heard in that, and I would make sure that the administration knows, like, that I'm the person who's representing the student body, and we would be relaying this information to them.
So with campaigning, the whole YIGA controversy came up. And when I addressed the issue, there was a lot of negative feedback saying it's just, it's just an app, like if you're getting harassed or whatever, just delete it. So as the face of Creighton, you would hold those Jesuit values with you, and say, we are men and women for others. Emily right in front of me is a person right here, and she's a person online as well, and she should be treated with dignity. So it's really, yeah, like, it's really going back to our roots and defending why we're taking this stance.
Okay, we have an audience question back here. Do you have a question?
Okay, so going back to the question that was asked about the people running for vice president, because there is an obvious disparity among how many men and women we do have on this campus, could you give me an example of, rather than just simply saying communication, how you are specifically going to address the very different issues that women face on a college campus and in the world as a whole versus the male population?
Thank you for asking that question. I'm a very vocal feminist on this campus. I believe in myself as a very strong woman leader on this campus. And I think just the fact that 2 women and 2 men are running is really exciting, almost like Battle of the Sexes here. And through Haven and through the Legion Center, I've learned to realize, sometimes men might not get it. Like when I go to a coffee shop, I have to realize, okay, my purse is here, I can't make too much eye contact. And unfortunately, men have not gone through that. So I think women can bring just a different perspective to how the majority of our population is living on campus and living through their college career.
I didn't say you didn't want the answer to be communication, but I feel that it really is just about communication with those organizations that can be considered for women. But if there were men in office, I feel that we would be able to be a good voice for the women on campus, because we want them to be able to come to us and tell us what's going on within their situation. I feel that we're obviously not women, but we could be like a he for she kind of deal, men who are for women. And not just for women, but just men for everyone. Men and women for others. Just throwing a judgment value there too. But yeah, we can do a he for she kind of thing, where we are really hearing the women's voices on campus, because they are a majority on campus. That would be really great for our administration.
All right, how will you incorporate Creighton's mission into your term?
Well, going right back to the Jesuit values, I feel that those are very important within the Creighton's mission. And I've been Jesuit educated all my life, and one of the values that was instilled in me early in my life was care personalis, which is care for the person. So I feel that I would be really caring for each and every individual on campus and make sure that their voice is being heard within CSU.
Creighton's mission is to empower that student. Last year at this time, I did not feel empowered. I dropped all my organizations, I dropped classes. I wasn't empowered, I wasn't inspired by anything. And Creighton does its magic and inspired me last year to really tackle women issues or gender equality issues for UDI or Scott Shutdown and empowering everybody through their organizations here. So incorporating that into CSU, it would be obviously working with the students, working on empowering those individuals who are like, hey, I don't know what to do here, or hey, I have this great idea to empower even more students here.
We'll do another audience question.
Hi guys. Okay, so obviously being CSU president entails a lot, and I think a lot more than what meets the eye of most of the normal students on campus. So my question for you guys is, we've both talked a lot about open communication and educating students about what CSU does for our campus, but what steps have you each taken in your campaigning process to educate yourselves about exactly what CSU does, the structure of it, and what your roles and limitations are as potential presidents? And if you haven't done any so far, what do you plan to do in the next week to campus? So I debated whether to run up until the last minute, and I don't see that as a disadvantage. I see that as I've been thinking about this for a very long time, since last semester actually. I went to John McCoy, I went to Jack, I went to Kate Kelsey, and many other mentors in my life saying, you know, what do I do? And it's always coming back to that. I have these skills, I have the rapport, I have the experience, I don't have my skills to the test and go for this.
So when I decided to run for president, I first went to John McCoy, talked to him about this. Then I started talking to former executives of CSU, such as Tommy Maki, who was the vice president before Jack Anderson. And then I was talking to many CSU representatives to get their views on what needs to be changed and what needs to be done within CSU. I also educated myself on the Constitution, and I also read the bylaws, just to make sure I know exactly what CSU is all about at its core, so that I know like their mission statement and their just everything, all the different roles of all the students that the students have within CSU. So I just really took my time and went through all this in the past couple months just to make sure I know what's going on in CSU, so that I can be able to relay that to the students and to the administration.
Anyone else?
So, I'm sure as everyone's aware now, only half of your term will be spent with Father Landon. He has been, I think, in my 3.5 years here, an excellent advocate for students. But currently the process to replace him, besides being questionable in a lot of ways, may resolve out of necessity with the first non-Jesuit president of this university. So kind of made two really closely related questions. One, how do you feel about that, which is more of a cursory question. And two, going back to the strategic planning process and the fact that the Board of Trustees of this university has taken what some would argue is a heavy-handed approach in management of this university, which has dissatisfied a lot of faculty members. What are your thoughts on how CSU, besides being representative of the students to the administration, plays in the relationship between the faculty and the administration?
So first question was, how do I feel about non-Jesuit president of the school? So I feel that a non-Jesuit president, it would be very different, obviously, because like that's all we've known for as long as creeds existed. However, I feel that a non-Jesuit president would not be the absolute worst thing in the world. It will bring a different view and different perspective to the school, like that's not from a Jesuit perspective. So I feel like that could be a positive thing in some regards. I would assume that the person that they're finding to replace him will still embody the Jesuit values. So we'll see. Like I would be in support of that. I'd definitely be open to talking to this new president, whoever it is, and making sure we foster a good relationship with them. And I also feel, in regards to your second question, that the CSU should really make sure they communicate strongly between him with the administration and the president, so that we know the student voice.
So how do I feel about that? I think it's exciting. It's a change. Change is always different. The CSU president is that face of the student. They are face of the student from week 1, freshman coming in, very welcoming to that M4 student. and every single student in between to embody those judgment values. So obviously that CSU president will embody those judgment values and show them off to the new president, whoever that may be.
We'll do one final question from the audience.
Hi, sorry for asking a question. But a lot of you two are running, so you guys are running together, you two are running together, technically running mates. But there's that opportunity that you might end up with, you know, like switched, I guess, if that makes sense. So how would you two work with that? Because obviously you and Meg are working a lot together, and you and Zach have been working a lot. How would you kind of bridge that gap, like communication, since maybe you guys haven't been working a lot together, just out of curiosity?
Meg and I decided to run together probably 3 days before the application was due. We didn't really know each other. How we did this process, we both talked like, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? How do you communicate? You know, what experiences do you have? What's your favorite part of Creighton? What's your least favorite part of Creighton? And if Zach or vice versa get elected, I'm sure everyone will go through that same interview process with each other and try to get to know each other as quickly as possible so that they can be compatible. You're welcome.
Well, kind of opposite of that, me and Zach are very good friends, and we know each other very well. We know how we can work together, and we work very well together. However, if it came out that like me and Meg being elected together, I'll definitely work with her, just like make the best of the situation in any way possible. Just make sure that like everyone's opinions are being heard, and just always want to make a compromise for the best of the students, not just for us, just like for the best, to make sure all the students are happy on campus.
Alright, thank you guys. Now we are going to let both of our candidates have an opportunity to kind of wrap things up and give both of them 1 minute to have closing remarks.
Like I said before, and I'm going to say again, I have that experience, I have that drive, I have that passion for multiple issues and for you guys, and I have that rapport with administration. My past experience with Scott Shutdown, it really opened my eyes to what students are really passionate about here on campus, and I feel that with that knowledge, I can make a great CSU president. Thank you.
All right, guys, so I just want to say thank you all for coming here again, and I just want to throw out that if you guys have any questions for me after this, or any time before, or I guess today or tomorrow, before you go out and vote, just make sure you come and ask me and address those issues with me. I really want to make sure I'm fostering open communication from the start, from the get-go. So if you guys please elect me your CSU president. That would be awesome. I just promise I'll make this school year super fun, super great. Make sure you guys are using me heard. So yeah, thanks for president.
All right, thank you guys for coming tonight. Let's give all of our candidates another round of applause.
All right, a few announcements really quick too before y'all take off. Elections will be held tomorrow between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. You will receive an email of which you will log in with your blue credentials to cast your vote. Again, just a reminder, the candidates are elected separately, so you'll vote for one EVP candidate and then one president candidate. Also a reminder, our Board of Representative candidates will be voted on tomorrow as well, based on your college or school. And tomorrow night, at this exact same place, we expect to see all of you here. We'll have our State of the Student address from CSU President John McCoy, kind of an annual address. We'll have kind of some refreshments, snacks available to you all, and a Rock the Boat concert featuring Javier Colon. So, season 1 winner of The Voice. So, we expect you to be here tomorrow night beginning at 7:30 to learn about the election results and celebrate the election. Yeah. Thank you very much for coming tonight.
How are you?
Hey, you got it. Yeah. Did you guys read?
Yeah. Lots of talking.
So I just kind of like sit there and like no,
Like it's somewhere up there.
good work, guys.
Thanks. Wait, where's the mouse? Just hit. Yeah.
Good work moderating, guys. Super great.
Oh man. I don't like this.
You're on YouTube right now.
Why?
Like live stream. Hit stop. I am. I'm freaking. There you go. Okay.
So it was on